Hey, what's up, patrons? 1000 here. Time for the monthly Q&A sessione. Just to let you know, this is probably going to be the last Q&A video. I'm moving the Q&A stuff to a segment at the end of the podcast. So if you have any questions for that, you can drop them down in the comments right here, and that will be in the April podcast. So I figure I could just make cooler, better videos for you guys than a Q&A video every single month. And like, you know, you're gonna run out of questions eventually. So if I get questions, we'll just move it to a segment at the end of next month's podcast. And I think that'll be cooler anyway. So, questions. Got some questions this month. Got some questions. First question. Kayla Cabe posted, "Hey, Tenhun, I'm new to Patreon, but so far really loving it. I especially like the video of your personal art collection." Thank you. I didn't know if that one would work well, but it turned out pretty cool. I think I got some good comments on that. I was wondering if you'd consider this for a video topic, using a pseudonym or artist name instead of your real name. You've gone by Tenhun for a while now. What's the story behind the name? And do you have any advice for fellow artists when it comes to this topic? Yeah, so let me start with what's the story behind my name. I think I've answered this in a previous Q&A vid, but you're like one of my newer patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on Patreon. 1000, you know, you say 800, you say 900, but you don't say 1000, you say 1000. So it's like, it's right, but it's wrong. And I feel like because I'm a completely self-taught artist, I probably do so many things wrong, but somehow magically it's still right, it's still working, and people are still seem to be appreciating it. So I imagine this like little kid like 800, 900, 1000, and then some adult is like, no, it's 1000, and the kid's like, no, it's 1000, and like I'm that little kid. Like, I don't know, that it's kind of a weird long explanation, but that's how I think about it inside of my head, and it just sounds cool. So so there's that too. The reason why I use a pseudonym instead of my real name, well, my real name is Peter Matthew Robinson, which is like literally the most boring white name ever. And when you Google Peter Robinson, you get like professors and mathematicians and like politicians and like accountants. And I wanted to stand out because my name is so boring. So yeah, it makes it like more Googleable, I guess, which is ever so important in this day and age. And also, like, you know, I was always really into like hip hop music and like street art and graffiti, and you know, there's not a lot of like real government names in those communities. So to me, like, I just always thought it was cooler to go by a pseudonym, and my name is so common and so boring that I figured I would add a little pizzazz, a little spice to it. So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning behind that. Awesome question. Next question. Derek Baker. 1, 2, 3, 4. Derek Baker asked me 4 questions, so I'm going to try and just dive at these. He says, how do you balance having a healthy relationship with your wife and still being as productive as you are? My schedule is generally like waking up at like 5 in the morning and working until like 5 in the evening. Or 6 or 7 in the evening, but then from that point on, I kind of just like shut it all down, and we watch a movie together, we go do something together and spend a little bit of time together. Also, I'm pretty much home all day at this point, and she's pretty much home all day at this point, so we're always around each other, even if it's just like quick little conversations throughout the day. But that, that's a struggle in my life. Like I'm addicted to working. I have like this obsessive nature. I'm completely compelled and addicted to be better at art and, continue to grow my business and continue to grow my online community. So like that definitely takes up a huge chunk of my life. But Chelsea is, I've always kind of been this way, and Chelsea is the most understanding person that I've been with as far as my time resources are going, and she's pretty good at that. She needs attention, I need attention, we both need to like give each other love and try to sustain our relationship. But it's a struggle, but at the same time, like, it's less of a struggle with her than any other person I've ever been with before. Next question. Derek says, when filming a video For, let's say, a wall mural, how many SD cards do you go through, and do you add that to the supplies your client pays for on the invoice? Well, SD cards, you know, you can rewrite them. It's not like you write them one time and then they're spent. So I have two SD cards. One's 128 gigs, the other one's 64 gigs. I used to just have two 64 gig cards, but I'll fill those up and then dump them onto the computer, and fill them up and dump them onto the computer. Depending on how big the project is, I'll fill them up 3 or 4 times, dump them onto the hard drives 3 or 4 times. I have a couple of external, like, SSDs. No, I don't bill the client for those things. That's part of my YouTube video production rig. As a matter of fact, the videos that I make about my clients' walls or projects, that's not something that I would like charge them for. That's like a added bonus of working with me. It's like you're gonna get some cool art. You're gonna get a cool mural, hopefully. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna produce a full video about it and mention your business all over the video and talk about how cool you are. So that, you know, it's like free publicity, I guess. Or so all that video stuff, like, that's not something I charge my clients for at all. That's just a perk of deciding to work with me. Derek's next question. I've seen some time-lapse video tutorials, but they really don't work for me. I was wondering if you have done one or plan to do a tutorial on your time-lapse process. I haven't thought about doing that before, but here is my time-lapse process. I record super long video clips, 30-minute video clips, because actually the Sony a6500 has a 30-minute time limit on video clips. You can like hack it to remove that, but I haven't done that yet. So I just record like a half-hour long video clip of me painting, and then I speed it up to 9,000%, and then I render that. And it has a very similar look to a traditional time-lapse, which is like taking a photo every 5 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever. The reason why I don't do the traditional way is because when I record the long video clips, if something interesting happens in that half hour, if somebody comes up and says something interesting to me, or if, like, I don't know, if I freaking fall off the ladder or something, like, I kind of want that moment to be in real time. So I can speed it up, and then make it regular speed for that one interesting moment, and then speed it up. So that's kind of how I do my time lapse. Derek Baker, last question. When did you feel the time was right to open your own store selling your goods? Do you remember what thoughts and concerns you had when making the decision? These are all really good questions, Derek. Did you get a loan, seek out investors, find it yourself, and do you have employees? The path to me opening my store was kind of interesting. There was this guy who owned a recreational cannabis store, and he reached out to me because he wanted me to paint a mural. So I painted a mural at his shop, and then he was like, well, can you paint this like billboard on the back of our building that has like our logo? So I did that. And then he's like, can you paint like a hand-painted A-frame sign for the front of our business? So I did that. And then he was like, can you design this advertisement for me? So I did that. And just slowly, like, I got absorbed by that company, and I started doing everything visual for their whole shop. And so there was the pot shop, and then if you turned left when you walked in, there was like this empty space, and I just kind of started setting up like my clothes in there. Like, I just kind of turned it into my shop. He kind of said I could do that, but then I also just did it. So I started selling my stuff out of there, and then he asked me to design a bunch of t-shirts specifically for them. So it was like a split shop. So like, I designed everything in there, but half of it was like merchandise for their company, and half of it was my own personal collection. And it basically allowed me to have a shop without having like all the risk on myself, or like having all the expenses on myself. And it was like in association with another larger business that had guaranteed foot traffic, because like when people come to Washington and weed is legal, like they go to the pot shops. Like, it's almost like a tourist activity. So there was just tons of people in there all the time. So that gave me like 2.5 years of running a business without having all the risk, which was like a very, very lucky situation for me. Not a lot of people have that opportunity. So then once that relationship started to deteriorate a little bit, I moved into my own shop. It was one of the scariest things ever. I like got this big space. I spent tens and tens of thousands of dollars on like store fixtures and expenses and like, you know, getting this place set up. I just like drained all the money that I had saved from everything, from like my whole art career up until that point. So it was very, very stressful, very, very scary. I didn't take out any loans. I just spent all my own money. And you know, within a month, within a couple months, we had like made the money back that we had, well, I don't know why I'm saying we. Like, I had made the money back that I had spent on the shop. Yeah, it went pretty cool. When you, like, the grand opening was, like, all my homies came out. Everybody was, like, supporting. So it's, when you, the first month you open, like, it's really, really good sales. And also I opened in November. So then that cruised into Black Friday and cruised into, like, the holiday shopping season. So it was a pretty good time to open a shop. The first few months were really good. And then it kind of dipped down a bit, and now it's kind of cruising along, and it's definitely like so much work. Yeah. Do I have any employees? I just hired my first employee, which allows me to be at home more often, which allows me to produce more content, produce more art, and basically run the whole business and all the aspects that aren't just the shop, while my assistant kind of takes care of, you know, shipping out all the orders and helping customers and just taking care of like the daily stuff. I was doing all of that for a year and a half basically, while still trying to run my freelance art career and run my YouTube channel and run my social media and like work with sponsors and like do all this different stuff and do murals. So that like the first year was crazy. It's feeling a little bit better now. But yeah, scariest thing I ever did in my life, most stressful thing I ever did in my life, and most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. So that's that, I guess. And that's all the questions for this month. Thank you guys so much for giving me those questions. Thank you so much for being my patrons. Your support legitimately means the world to me. I can't believe, you know, the amount. I think we're at 90 patrons now. I'm just blown away by you guys' support. I love chatting with you guys on the Discord server. I love the messages I get from you. Like, this little community right here is my favorite community online, because it's still like, you know, it's still small enough to where I can like interact with each one of you, and like it just feels good. So thank you so much for being my patron. I'm really, really thankful for you guys. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments here, and I'm gonna start answering them on the end of the podcast, so that hopefully I can start making some other cool videos for you guys. A little bit more behind the scenes stuff, more fun stuff. So thanks so much for watching. You guys are awesome. You're radical. I'm 1000. I'm out. Peace.